let me invite our first speaker, who is Dave Harper, the Secretary General of Durham Miners Association.
Thank you very much, Jack. I think you may have booked your seat next year to speak at the gala. We've never had a Pakistani there, and I think it's about time we probably did. I think, first of all, I would like to thank the Third World Solidarity. It's a privilege, really, to be here. It was totally unexpected. The miners in the past in Britain led a very insular life. Our communities didn't really get people from other nations because the workforce was there. It was all a British workforce, and when people started coming to Britain and expanding our culture, actually, after the Second World War, it took a long time before we got any foreign people into our communities. And I will say they've enriched our communities, they've been great citizens of our country, and we certainly welcome them in all respects and support them in all respects. And it's great to get an invitation from Third World Solidarity to get behind the miners who were in the throes of the end of the coal industry in Britain. We all know what happened there. I'm not going to repeat old stories about where we are, where we've come from, or where we've ended up at. But in Britain today, we live in a very, very dangerous world. We live in a community where we're seeing a tremendous amount of activity from people who our forefathers gave their lives to fight in the Second World War. And I was in Newcastle, it was only 2 weeks ago, I think, where we had an organisation on the streets that shouldn't be allowed on the streets of Britain, marching in protest against immigration and against foreign nationals. And without foreign nationals, our community would drop to bits. All of our hospitals rely on people from third world countries and all across the world. And I've only got one thing to say about that. My life and a lot of other people's lives has resulted by the fact that we've had these people working in our hospitals and enriching our culture. The Miners' Gala started in 1871, a long time ago. I think it was only Rodney about at that time. And it's been a proud tradition of people who believed in hard work, but also believed in fair play. And throughout our history, we've been connected with all sorts of associations with people who have been in foreign countries, fighting for freedom, fighting for justice, just like our people did in Britain many, many years ago. The capitalist society today is in a terrible mess, and the workers are being made to pay for that. The bankers' crisis, the workers are being made to pay for that. People who've worked a lifetime in the mining industry are now getting their benefits attacked, benefits that we've contributed to through a national service and through a social system which was brought in by the Attlee government in 1945, has just been cast to one side. So we've got a world to win. We've got a lot of issues to get support on. And building for support for them issues is not as easy as what people think. But nevertheless, we've got to give a commitment and do exactly as we feel should be done to put the world in a better place. I was always told as a young man, when I first started getting involved in trade unions, that you leave the world a better place for your next generation. And I think that's a proud ideal. And we've tried to do that. Unfortunately, my generation now are leaving the world in more of a worse situation than it was when we come into. But anyhow, the gala itself, it's a massive demonstration of working class solidarity. It's a working class tradition that will never be bettered. only a number of years ago, maybe 15, well, 30 years ago, there was many miners' gala. I remember the Mela in Newcastle. That's a big cultural event which was mentioned by Mustak. There was many of these events across the country. Miners marched and rallied and demonstrated. And these demonstrations come about against oppression. That's what it was all about. It was against oppression. And we've carried that on. Today, we're facing almost the end of the gala, as we see it. We've just had a miners' knee litigation case against the government of all people, which an ex-Prime Minister Gordon Brown could have solved for us. And the Durham Miners Association, the bill which was run up was £1.4 million. We've just paid that tranche of the bill, and now Nathan the Barrows has come back at us and are trying to get more money out of us. So the government, we didn't expect another of Tories, like, the government are trying to get more money out of the Durham Miners Association. We face, possibly in a worse scenario, another £1.2 million bill. If that's successful, if their actions are successful, although we've instructed our lawyers, Thompson's, the best trade union lawyers in the country, we've instructed them to fight it on all fronts. But if that bill comes to anywhere near their demands, the Durham Miners' Gala will be finished. To that extent, I think the people in the movement are there, and there's still a lot of good people in the trade union movement. They are trying to keep the gala going as a force of workers throughout Britain. And hopefully, we've had a tremendous response up to now from all the trade unions we've attended, the ASLEF, the JMB, the Fire Brigades Union, we're down to Unison, we're going to the RMT, and they realise along with us, so workers in Britain realise that we've got to unite, we've got to fight for the principles that we believe in, for fairness, equality, and for better conditions for everybody. But the biggest threat we have in our communities at the moment is the rise of the ultra-right. And these people shouldn't be allowed to be in the country at all, never mind marching in our streets and contaminating good people. So we've got a massive battle on our hands, and we feel the battle can be won, and it's got to be won for everybody. And that battle, if we lost the Durham Miners' Gala, I think it'll be very much more difficult for us to win in our communities, where there's very little work at the moment, where there's a lot of drugs, where Cameron mentioned the big society a number of years ago. He was on about the big society. The Durham Miners had the big society generations ago. We built our own hospitals, we built our own welfares, we educated our people, we built welfares, we built sports grounds. We were the total society, never mind the big society, the total society. And we policed ourselves. There were great places to live, great places to be brought up in. They respected the values of socialism, they respected the values and the hopes and aspirations of our people. I just picked a paper up the other day about Franco's Spain, where the Durham Miners sent donations after Franco had killed many Asturian miners in 1936-39 in the Spanish Civil War. I'm forgetting the actual quote of the money we sent. The miners sent this money to help the people, the miners of northern Spain in Asturias. And in today's value, it was a tremendous amount of money. I just couldn't believe how much men who were really not, and they weren't in poverty, but certainly they were just above the poverty line, contributed week after week after week in the fight against fascism in Spain and to help the families of the people who were killed by Franco. Also, I think we were called the enemy within by a woman whose name I'm not going to mention. She said the miners were the enemy within. The miners were never the enemy within. You can go into any coalfield area in Britain, including Durham obviously, and see monuments to the battle against fascism and against racism. and them communities lost many, many people. So we've got a whole war to win now. If we didn't get this gala kept on board, it'll make that task more difficult. It's a multicultural event. We invite every one of you to come up there on the 13th of July, and I'm sure you'll be very, very pleased. We've got a great array of speakers up this year. We've got speakers from the trade union and labour movement and journalists. Kevin Maguire, the industrial editor of the Daily Mirror, whose father was a miner. Owen Jones, a journalist. Lenny McCluskey, the Unite General Secretary. We've got the new lady, General Secretary of the TUC, and we've got Bob Crow of the Transport Union. Socialist everyone, and they'll be arguing and fighting for what everybody in this room believes in: internationalism, the cause of people, and the open destination of the world. So it's great to be here. I pay a tremendous tribute to Mushtaq and all the people connected with her. As you see, it's a very unique occasion. The first time the Durham Miners has ever been invited to London, and it struck an organisation like Third World Solidarity to do this for us. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart, wholeheartedly. We'll be with you, we'll be fighting with you and struggling with you, whether in this country or back in third world countries. Our fight is their fight, and your fight is our fight. So best of luck tonight, and thank you very, very much. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Davy. And can I confirm that Third World Solidarity holds annual dinner? And I welcome friends from India as well, although South Hall is mini India. So can I give them a big hand? Councillor Sheetal and others who are here, Sarfraz Khan, Sanjay. So can I tell you, everybody here, that I'm going to dedicate our annual dinner to save the Durham Miners Gala every year. And we will work with you, Devi, to raise the funds which you need to save it. Because in my opinion, the event which happens in Durham on second week of July is very important for everybody, not only in United Kingdom or Europe, but in the world, because the people who gather there, and there are many, many tens of thousands of people, and I hope you will see it this year as well, with banners like this. In the morning, they start at 8 o'clock and finish at 4 o'clock at the church. And I think you can see the picture of that church somewhere here. And I think it will be great loss for not only people in United Kingdom who believe in socialism, but people who believe in equality, in justice, in peace and freedom throughout the world. So next year, our annual dinner will be dedicated to the miners of Durham for every year.